Ladies and gentlemen, today on Sportswire Radio, we'll have a special holiday edition, a holiday afternoon edition with a holiday havoc like twist to it, because our guest here is back once again, and he's one of our last guests of 2024. And boy, does he have a lot to say. He has a lot to say about winning the 2024 FBW Wrestler of the Year, and it really wasn't close. We're going to talk about also what happened at Holiday Havoc with a handshake. We'll also talk about what else is going on in FBW. Is Chris Dynamite looking for gold? How about that United States Championship that's now vacated? What about Sam Reeves? What about, I don't know, Draven Solis, who opened up the show? And what about a guy, Felix Zabata? Yes, Felix Zabata. We'll talk about that, plus who knows whatever else, in a razor rage like way here today on Sportswire Radio. You know, some people have decided, you know what, I've mailed it in already. The stock market definitely mailed it in today. I'm not even looking at my mutual fund today. They've mailed it in and said, you know what, holidays, I'll see you in 2025. Christmas, Hanukkah, I'm lighting the menorah. I'm getting one more gift or two. I'm going to the movies. Forget about it. New Year's is coming. Maybe I'll see you. Maybe not us on Sportswire Radio, because we have plenty to talk about. 2024 on this platform ain't over by a long shot. And now it is time to get this show on the road. You've been waiting for it. He's been waiting for it. I'm back now to 100%, which took me a while to get to. And I'm going to give you that razor rage like introduction in an early edition of being here in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the platform that our guest and FBW most certainly helped build to get to nearly 1,360 subscribers. Happy holidays, everybody. Let's now get the show on the road in style on Sportswire Radio. So with that, without further ado, here on the Sports Report, number one global sports show. A man that is the now 2024 FBW Wrestler of the Year, the founder of the Backyard Wrestling Nexus. His name is, simply put, the Razor Rage Anthony Aries. My friend, how are we doing?
It's great to be back here on Sportswire Radio. Great platform to get, my frustrations, my opinions out. So, Tom, thank you for having me back on Sportswire Radio.
Good to have you back. Honestly, you've become a regular, and that's always a good thing to break the fourth wall for a minute. We always like to add new people. There's been different things that have been out there, but I said it, I think, a couple of days ago in sports. I think it's actually been a net positive. We eliminated some of the, let's just say, dead weight, some of the individuals that should be dead. And then we've brought in, I think, new people to give them an opportunity, and that's what it's all about. So, happy holidays to everybody out there. And there's a lot to talk about here, but I guess I'll go here. Let's start off nice and easy. For those that are listening and watching here on Sportswire Radio, it was to an early edition here of being here in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the platform that you and most certainly FBW helped build here, Sportswire Radio, where all wrestling matters. How does it feel to be the 2024 FBW Wrestler of the Year?
So, I'm not going to come here and glow and be like, oh my God, thank you to the fans and everybody who voted for me. Look, this is my second time being FBW Wrestler of the Year. Back in 2021, I was voted by the fans to be wrestler of the year. And, back then I appreciated it, but now with this Razor Rage that I've said this in the past, it's helped me clear the fog in my vision. And quite honestly, as much as I want to sit here and feel great, about being wrestler of the year, I have the FPW management team sending me my certificate that I'm gonna hang up. Um, what I realize is everybody only voted for myself to be wrestler of the year was honestly for Damage Control. And quite honestly, man, the suffering, the physical suffering, and more importantly, the mental suffering that I had to go through with unleashing my Razor Rage and doing all this stuff, it was not worth it. Quite simply, all of the suffering that this community has put me through is not worth finally getting voted to be wrestler of the year, you know? So I'm not gonna come here and say thank you to the fans for voting for me because quite honestly, they put me through all this suffering and unleashed this Razor Rage, and now they think that they can just make it all better. And that's what really pisses me off is that they unleash this Razor Rage. They get me to become into this monster, and now they think they're gonna all butter this all up and vote me as wrestler of the year. Yeah, because they totally thought I was wrestler of the year leading up to this point.
So you're supposed to get a certificate that awards you wrestler of the year. You're not exactly happy in a sense of how you got there, and you talk about damage control from people voting for you because of the Razor Rage that you've unleashed. So, do you accept the certificate? Do you accept the award? I mean, how do you feel then based on what you say this vote was based on?
You know, the only reason why I'm gonna accept this award and hang it up is for a reminder, to myself of what needs to be done. Because every time I sit behind this desk and I do my work and I do what I got to do and formulate my opinions that I'm going to spread out into the world, I'm gonna see that certificate. And it's just gonna remind me of all of the things that the community has done and tried to cover. So it's gonna keep me on track and it's going to help me get done what needs to be done for everything that the community has put me through.
But okay, so let me ask you an obvious follow up. So, if you didn't win the vote, would you have been more happier if you didn't win?
I think that if I didn't win, um, you know, if I didn't win, yeah, you know what, sure, because at least that, if I didn't win, that means that the community would be held accountable for what they put me through. You know, like I said, this is all damage control that the
But
community
don't
is
you
trying to
think
put me
though
through.
that usually, like, okay, I've interviewed a lot of athletes. I've interviewed a lot of college basketball players. We had on a couple of college soccer coaches over the last month on Sportswire. And if I said to them, "Hey, you won your conference tournament, you won a regular season championship, or you won a coach of the year," that you want to take it back? Do you want to give it back, or do you want to just say, you know what, I don't want to win? They would be like, are you nuts? I mean, so it's interesting. You're the first person, at least in my recollection, in quite a while, and I've interviewed over at least over 1,000 people in 6 years in all different backgrounds. Said, I win something. I win this award, 2024 Wrestler of the Year of a company that's closing in on 1,000 subscribers. It's closing in on going into the Sports Pie Radio Hall of Fame, and you want to give the award back. I mean, this is a first, Anthony. I thought this is the holidays. We want to give people gifts, and you actually want to give a gift back, it seems.
I've been wrestler of the year before in FBW. Like I said, 2021, I was wrestler of the year, and and for many years prior to that, when we weren't doing awards per se, I could have been wrestler of the year for many years in the past. You know, it's
Mhm.
just an award, and it's an award from a company who, quite honestly, has been supporting all of the shit that the community has done to me. They're supporting it. So that certificate to me is just, you know, uh, quite honestly, it's almost like a form of blood money. That's all it is, and I don't want no part of it.
Well, I mean, we'll certainly find out in a minute. I'd like to break the fourth wall for a minute and give a shout out to somebody out there, all the way in the UK. But one of my biggest supporters out there, Mister Luke Leyland, the one and only Luke Leyland, who is basically now fighting in armored MMA. It's basically, yes, there's an MMA version of like Armory. And he's a huge part of that. He's also the only person outside of Africa to have fought in Dambe, basically Africa's version of MMA. And he's working on some other projects. And you definitely need to check them out. I see a bunch of people here in the chat. So I'm going to do this here because Mr. Leyland has always been gracious. And he's the man that I have an interview with that has like 1,400 plus views, whatever it is on YouTube. So if you're out here, give us a follow to Mr. Leyland on Instagram. He also wrestled once upon a time. He was trained by none other than the one and only Mr. Dean Allmark, the legendary Dean Allmark, who wrestled in TNA Impact Wrestling. And if you want to check out Mr. Leyland on his YouTube channel with Mr. Hart, there it is. It's a must watch. I'm telling you, definitely watch it. You want to talk about Anthony Aries in a razor rage? Luke Leyland is definitely in a razor rage when it comes to his Dambe experiences and alongside his armored MMA. So definitely, I'm not getting Luke Leyland angry anytime soon. Hit the sub button. Thank you, Mr. Leyland. We'll come back to some other people in the chat. But, you said a bunch of different things about FBW, right? FBW is kind of responsible along with the community of where you are today. So I want to get your general reactions on something to open up Holiday Havoc. And Draven Solis, a guy that certainly came on here and, certainly had a lot to say on Sportswire Radio. I'm still kind of dumbfounded in how many people actually tuned into that one. It was actually, I think, my biggest viewed show since my birthday show. So that tells you how long, people were waiting for a big turnout, and he got it. He got a turnout, and he said a few things here. And I guess talk about the curtain call of FBW, and he kind of, in a way, I guess gave us his class act in what's to come. And what was your reactions of the newest signee of FBW, Draven Solis?
Overrated.
And how so?
Overrated. Overhyped. He has his head so far up his ass, believing his fucking shit. And what happens to people like that in our sport is they become an example. There's been so many guys in the past in FBW, and we've seen it with Big B more recently.
Yep.
People who are so far ahead of themselves, they can't keep up with what their mouth. Look, let's dissect the year of the Wolf of War Big B real quick. He came in hot shot. Sure, he became the FBW undisputed champion right off the bat.
Yep.
Took me out. Went on to win the Glory Rumble, and he became the unified FBW/SGW champion. But what happened quickly after that? What happened, Tom?
Fell down the ladder. I mean, he certainly is. I mean, Sam Reeves took him out. I mean, look at what violence, enterprise.
He became a joke.
Well, that's what happens sometimes.
A shell of the Wolf of War who debuted in FBW. He went on a long losing streak. Hasn't touched a single piece of gold. Barely ended the year off with a victory.
Oh, we're going to talk about that. We're going to show the match.
So Draven Solis, he comes in here talking high and mighty, how he's the next best thing. I've heard that so many times, and the facts are this: everybody who comes into FBW acting like that gets made an example, and they crumble and they fall and they become the complete opposite of what they were claiming that they were going to be.
Right.
What happened? Let's go way back. Couple years ago, 2021, the Puerto Rican Chief, Big Rick. What happened to him?
He's
the next big thing, the biggest wrestler to ever step foot in FBW. And what happened?
He's on a milk carton somewhere.
I sent him away.
He's on a milk carton somewhere. What if?
Lavarius Walker brought in a new age of AAW. Was gonna run through FBW with Eric Danger, and what happened? He's gone.
Oof.
So Draven Solis wants to come in here acting like he's going to be the next big thing, that he's going to help revive a new boom
He talked
period,
about his
renaissance.
background, which he spoke about here, him being one of the more well-known actors in Florida, and he talked about
Look,
his
man, look, I don't know what that rush of adrenaline is, acting. I'm not a stage actor. I'm a wrestler. I,
gotcha.
I I don't know how it feels to do a little stupid play in front of 5 people at your local hall, but it's a joke. And with this Razor Rage, like I said, I see way clearly. It's like I have a new set of glasses on my eyes. He's a joke. He's so full of delusions that it's gonna catch up.
Delusions of grandeur is the old
He's
expression.
never been in a backyard. He's never been in a backyard wrestling company. I've been doing this for 10 years. And if he wants to step foot in my way, because I know he's mentioned the vacated United States
He
Championship.
he mentioned that, he did talk about that as something that's potentially in his sights, but we spoke
That
about this.
title's mine. So if he wants to step through my way, I'm
Well,
gonna open his eyes
we
very
spoke
quick
about
and show him.
when he was here a couple weeks ago on Sportswire. We spoke about transitioning. You're this guy. Okay, you've done stuff on stage. You've done some theater. I mean, we have a guy here, Judas, that's certainly made the transition, but he's a guy that's right at a central casting, goes right to it. But very few people make a transition from one completely different field to
And
another.
what's gonna happen? He's gonna fail. I don't
What?
know what
Why do you think
I
he's
quite
gonna fail?
honestly don't understand what is up with everybody who wants to play make believe in other characters and other fantasies, wanting to come into my world, into this sport of wrestling. We've seen it before. Like I said, we've seen so many examples and evidence that Draven Solis is going to fail like a joke. What
I mean,
happened
I've
to
seen
Damian
guys
Prime?
over
Damian
the
Prime
years.
wanted to think that he's just a joke artist and all
I
that
mean,
shit. And what happened to him?
well, look, I've seen guys even here over the years famously say, "I'm going to challenge this guy. I'm going to challenge that guy." And there was a guy, I'm not even going to say his name, that challenged somebody, and then they didn't have any ring ability, and then it's almost they've become like such a joke. But maybe they're turning it around now. But I mean,
Yeah,
it's
I don't know.
yeah, yeah.
Quite honestly, sure. He can do all of his stage shows and thinks that he can, fake it till he makes it, but not with the Razor Rage lurking around.
So
You're
what
not
should
gonna.
he just forget about being in FBW? Should he just go back to the stage? Should he just go back to some
Quite
little?
honestly, yes,
He should.
because so far, unless quite honestly he stays out of my way. He's mentioned the United States Championship. That is quite honestly my title. That should
That's a
quite
valuable
honestly
piece of
be
property,
gifted
by the
back
way.
to me.
That's a very valuable piece of property. That's a huge
Yeah,
thing.
well, it's mine. Quite
So he,
honestly, it's
so
mine.
he, so there really is no room for this kid. Then this kid that you know,
He can fuck off, go compete against, guys that are, not in my way. Guys like Felix Sabata, I know he's coming in,
I'm going
guys
to talk
like
about
Chris
him next.
Dynamite,
I'm going to talk about him next.
everybody else out of my division. Because like I said it before, that United States Championship was stole from me. And then that poor excuse of a backyard wrestler decided to hang up his ball and go home. And the fact that FBW management hasn't gifted that title back, because I was on a mission to make that title a prestigious piece of gold in FBW. Damian Prime stole that title away from me.
I'm surprised
Quite
you even mentioned his name. I'm surprised
yeah,
that you.
honestly, he doesn't deserve the light of day, but we have to discuss it. We can't beat around him when talking about the United States Championship.
Hmm.
He tarnished what I was working on. That title should be mine, quite honestly, right now. But the fact that FBW management hasn't gifted me that title back, and then Draven Solis wants to mention that he has his eye. No, it's my real estate, and he can fuck off. Like I said, he's some stage actor who thinks that he can fake it till he makes it because the bright lights of Hollywood and special effects. All of that is not in the grunge community of backyard wrestling, and I think I would know. I've been
I
doing
will
this for 10
agree
years.
with you that the backyard in the underground wrestling circuit is a different circuit than when you're acting on stage, when you're acting
You
in the
can
theater.
special effect, you can edit a lot of things when you're acting and playing in movies and plays. All of that shit is not in wrestling. This is real life. This is two men, four men, three men, whatever, going at it, fighting. This is some real shit. I don't know what this stage actor wants to do in FBW, but I'm telling you, getting in the way of the Razor Rage is a death sentence. And quite honestly, I have no mercy for nobody.
So that's not an act then. This is not basically something where if this is
No,
not basically something where take two, take three, take one,
no.
go. This is basically if he goes
It's
out there.
the second he steps in the ring and I punch him dead in the face.
Mm.
Once that bell rings, once that red light on that camera is going, there's no turning back. You can't run and
I'll
hide,
take
and you
two.
definitely cannot run
Let's
and
do
hide
that
from
over.
me.
Let's redo that. All right, let's redo that again. Nope, it's basically he's out there and there's no
And
turning
I
back.
will pick
And if you
him
get him,
apart.
well, I'll tell you what. If you want to find out more about FBW, we started the show with 953 subscribers. We're now at 954. So do me a favor. I believe I put it in the chat. I'll put it in again. Thank you, whoever subbed to FBW. We're closing in very closely to 1,000 subs. I remember we were a few months ago in the 800s. Now we've gotten some FBW coverage on Sportswire. Now we're in the 950s. So we're getting there. We're inching closer one by one. And I think that in 2025, if we don't get it this year, we're going to definitely get to 1,000 subs for FBW. So if you're here right now, definitely hit the sub button for FBW. We are here with the 2024 FBW Wrestler of the Year, the Razor Rage Anthony Aries, despite the fact he doesn't want to have won the award. He still won the award. And my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice figuratively and literally. We're all welcome. But speaking of new wrestlers, before I transition into a wrestler that's not new, but a wrestler that you actually molded here in this community. I'll get to him in a few minutes because that's why I think I'm really curious to see your Razor Rage more than anything else here today. Is a new wrestler up and coming. I'm going to put this on the screen in a second for the audience, but talk about your reactions here to another new wrestler to the FBW roster here in the Golden Star Gladiator, Felix Zabata. Felix Zabata here. Can you say that twice? I'm going to try to say it twice and some. And objectively speaking, what do you think here about another signee here in FBW?
Hold on a second, Tom. What is this?
It's a mask. It's a luchador mask. Lucha Libre.
This right here was the very the very mask that I proposed to my family to don when I started my wrestling journey. This mask right here.
Mm-hmm.
But now every time I look at it, I see abandonment. I see a symbol and a moment of where the only family that I ever knew turned their back on me. That's what I see when I look at this mask. This mask was supposed to be my legacy, my future, my career. And I'll explain why. When I was born, my birth mother and my birth family didn't want me. So from birth, I was adopted by a Hispanic family, a Puerto Rican family. And that is shoot, that is real. I was adopted into a Puerto Rican family and a Hispanic family at birth. And growing up with my mother, with my grandmother, I grew up loving wrestling because my grandma loved wrestling, my mom loved wrestling. And then as I got older and I started, remembering faces, my uncle liked wrestling. So I grew up in a wrestling family. And my grandmother has, had ties to some of the local wrestling in Puerto Rico.
Nice.
So growing up, the only culture I ever knew was the Hispanic culture. I'm not Hispanic. I'm white. I'm other things that I don't know, but for a fact, I'm not Hispanic. But I grew up only knowing the Hispanic culture. That's all I ever knew. So growing up, I knew I wanted to be a wrestler. And Hispanic wrestlers, what were they? Luchadors. They donned the mask.
Yep.
So I proposed to my mother, to my grandmother. I proposed the idea to don the mask and to become the family luchador. But they said no. They said no because I'm not Hispanic. I'm not Hispanic by blood. Even though I carry a Hispanic last name, I'm not Hispanic. I'm just a white kid. Even though I grew up and all of my family members are Hispanic, I couldn't don the luchador mask because I'm not Hispanic. But I said to hell with that. I carried on and I had to become the wrestler who I became now. Anthony Aries, ALM, the Evil Heart, the Messiah, the Saint, the Razor Rage, all of these things, but the luchador that I grew up wanting to be. And then all of a sudden, I see that my cousin, Felix Sabata, the Golden Star Gladiator, as he's now donned as, has took the family mask and is joining FBW, carrying the damn legacy that I was supposed to, that I wanted to carry. So now he's coming into my realm with the family mask that I wanted, that I needed, that I grew up wanting to idolize. But he got the blessing because he's Hispanic by blood, because he's in the family for real. Even though I was adopted and in the family since birth. So now every time I see him, and the moment I get a chance to step foot in that arena, I'm going to take his mask. Just like my family took the dream of my mask away from me.
You know, Anthony Arias, as I'm listening to that, you've been in this game a long time. You've been in it for over a decade. And what I just heard here over the past 5 minutes, and tell me your thoughts on this, objectively speaking, this sounds the most personal of almost anything I've heard you. You know, Draven Solis, yeah, all right, he's a young kid. You're going to go out there and beat him up. Yeah, all right, he's some young kid. We'll see what happens. You know, I think some people will have their opinions, and he's got to go out there and, objectively speaking, prove it in the ring. So really, I mean, like anybody else, he's got to go out there and it's pull up or shut up, to quote famously some person I won't really bring up here on this platform. But this here, when you bring up your cousin and then you bring up your family history, your history that's deep there. That's deep when it comes to Felix Zabata. Anthony Arias, this sounds almost as anything personal of anything you've experienced or talked about, not only here, but what's going to happen in your career, no?
It's because I lived it. I've lived it. Do you know what it feels to grow up in a family that you don't fit in with? Do you know what it feels like to grow up going to all these family parties and family gatherings and being the odd one out? I am the color red in a world full of black and white. I was the odd one out. You know what it feels to be surrounded by people who didn't take you in as one because you're not one of them. Do you know what that feels like? I grew up carrying this culture that I'm not in. Going to all these family gatherings, not being able to understand family members because I don't speak the language. I don't truly understand the culture. I have a Hispanic last name. You know how many people come up to me and ask me, how are you a part of that culture? You don't look like that. You don't belong in that. I lived it.
And they never tried to integrate you, never tried anything to make you feel
Growing
like...
up, my mother, my adopted mother, my Hispanic mother never taught me a lick of Spanish. dooming me to not fit in. I don't even know why the hell I was adopted in the first place, but the matter of the fact is this. I never fit in, and I will never fit in, and I was casted out. I thought that my family would have the one thing that brings people, that brings cultures together, and that is wrestling.
I agree
All
with
I
that.
ever wanted was to don the mask, was to don the mask. But no, no, because I'm not Hispanic, proving that I will never fit in, and I never did fit in. So yes, it is. It's more personal than everything because wrestling is my life. Wrestling, it was my first love in my life.
You've talked about it here that there was really nothing else
So
that you really
so
liked.
to see now my Hispanic cousin come into my world, my kingdom that I built myself with not a lick of help from my wrestling fans of a family. No. I built this on my own with my hands, with my blood, my sweat, my tears, without the mask that I asked to don. Now he wants to come up into my kingdom, my company, and think that he's going to have a lovely time donning the family mask, the family tradition, the family legacy. No, not on my watch, not in my company.
Let me ask you one follow up, and I'm thinking about this, and I'm listening to this, and I've known you a while, almost 2 years, and I know you're the Razor Rage. I got all that, but if I were to tell you, in a way, I know you blame the community. You talked about FBW. You talked about a lot of different things, but I'm hearing something a little personal that you said over the past 10 minutes, which I'm sure some in the chat will want to ask you about in a minute. And I'm thinking about my own background, where I took law, I took criminal justice, I took psychology, and in a way, maybe without even knowing it, Anthony Arias, your Razor Rage can almost in a way be traced all the way back to your family and to this family situation that you never quite fully felt that you were accepted by. So maybe really the Razor Rage traces all the way back to your family ancestry. And in a way, more than anybody else, this Razor Rage is tied into none other than Felix Zabata.
And there's nothing more than I want right now in my career because I know he's going to be in the arena very soon. And I know my Razor Rage is lurking around always. Mark my words, right here in the brightest lights, the prime time of Sportswire Radio with the community watching. Mark my words.
Well, I'll
I
tell
am
you what.
going, I am going, I am going to take Felix Sabata's mask.
You're gonna take his
I'm
mask.
going to rip it off his skull. And then maybe then my family, the culture that I was always a part of but never could fit in, will then don me with the mask that I deserve, that I should have had from the very beginning of my wrestling journey. So, Felix Sabata, I know you're watching because I'm going to take that mask
Mm.
and I'm going to spit all over that stupid legacy. I'm going to take the mask and I'm going to don my own legacy as the luchador and show that I am what is best for the family tradition. I'm gonna craft my own family because you know what, you know, growing up, I always heard that you know family doesn't start or end with blood.
Hmm.
And I mean, look at me. I was adopted from birth into a Hispanic family. I'm not even Hispanic, so I'm gonna take the family mask and maybe then I'll create my own family and my own legacy. Since I couldn't don the mask of my own, but mark my words, I am going to take the Golden Star Gladiators mask.
The Golden Star. Almost everybody's now thinking about Hanukkah and the Star of David and the
Golden Star
star.
my ass.
Yeah.
Golden Star my ass because the family wanted to put him up on the pedestal because he's actually Hispanic.
Mm. Well, I'll tell you what, I've seen a lot, and I'm going to get to the chat now because I do want to ask you about Jay Gaz, and we'll probably get into that in a few minutes. But I have seen a lot over my career, going on 6 years, January 25th. I've had 7 months in Radio Land. I've had politicians come on here. I've had people from all types of backgrounds, Major League Baseball players, won the World Series, guys in the NFL, played for the Dallas Cowboys. I've had guys that played in the NHL, Eastern Conference Finals, wrestler after wrestler. But I don't know if I've heard something as in depth as what I have heard when it comes to Anthony Aries and his family and maybe his lack of family. And maybe this is where this Razor Rage traces from. Not from FBW, not from the backyard and the underground wrestling community, not his history with Sam Reeves, not with Big B, not with Ryan Blade, Chris Dynamite. No, it's maybe with Felix Zabata. Maybe this is where this all is traced, and it's a really in-depth, deep story, and we're going to see more of it here on FBW's YouTube and Instagram pages. But let me get to the chat. Chat wants to talk with you, and I want to see what's on their mind. Zilla would like to say hello, and she loves, likes, respects, and appreciates you. Thank you very much for that's a mouthful. Thank you, Zilla, for the kind words. Speaking of people that did say a few things at Holiday Havoc, but I think they will be going to work in FBW in 2025. The undisputed champion.
Real quick, I just want to say thank you to Sam Reeves, real quick.
Wait. Time out. You of all people thanking Sam Reeves. What
Yes.
am I missing? Tell us why. Tell us why.
Been doing a lot of thinking
Mm-hmm.
after I've unleashed my Razor Rage, and like I said, this Razor Rage has really cleared the fog in my vision. And quite honestly, looking back on the feud I had with Sam Reeves and all of the words that we've exchanged and said to each other going into SGW, going into FBW, I truly believe that now that he was only trying to help me, that he was only trying to redirect me into the direction to the path that I should have always been on, but I was kind of hesitant because, like, sometimes the truth does hurt. Sometimes you got to take the rough road over the clean road. Sometimes you got to go through the shit and do some bad things, but quite honestly, sometimes those bad things equal and turn out to be good things. And Sam Reeves, quite honestly, he was trying to pull me into that direction and steer me clear because, quite honestly, I was getting my filthy hands on all of these stupid, toxic scumbags of backyard wrestlers in this community that I was helping. And quite honestly, I should have never been helping these people, but I was getting my nose dirty in all of their filthy whatever business. And Sam Reeves was only trying to steer me clear because he knew that what I was doing as a saint of backyard wrestling was wasting my precious time. So Sam Reeves, if you're still here, if you're still watching, or if you're watching just after, thank you, Sam Reeves.
Well, there's a lot of people here in the chat, so I'm sure we'll get more comments from them. And certainly, I will say this to quasi break the fourth wall. Yes, there was some plenty of toxic people that came on here the last 2 years that we found out certain things from certain places that were definitely toxic, literally in the backyard wrestling circuit. So I think we'll partially agree with you on some of the things you said, but you in the chat that's here definitely not are that. And thank you, Sam Reeves. And Sam Reeves is doing things now for the gold, money, and the women. He had a lot to say in his promo, but Chris Dynamite, I think, answered some of those things. So I'll leave that at that. Abraham Storm, who's going to be at the Backyard Wrestling Nexus, is Breaking the Chain show. He spoke about that on Tuesday's show. Would like to say hello. Very excited about Abraham Storm, the thunderous Abraham Storm. Always here every stream. He was here Tuesday, and he's got a new belt. Maybe we'll see that. And I think Sam Reeves was telling Abraham Storm to show up to FBW. I think Sam was in the chat on Tuesday show. He was telling him to show up. So who knows? North Carolina to Florida. What's the commute from North Carolina to Florida? How far are you guys from each other? Like 6 hours? Is it about 6 hours?
I have no idea.
Well, you
But
know
if he
what?
wants to come down, I'll extinguish that storm.
Well, you know what? Then maybe he should think about making a detour. Then, but I was saying, let us know in the chat.
Calls
Hello.
himself the thunderous. Dude, what? He's the storm. I'll be a damn
Well, there's
hurricane if you
plenty of
step through my way.
right now. I mean, there's Jason Storm, but I'm not going to go there. But the Abraham Storm's got to worry about him on being who's the others, the one true Storm. But we'll let him figure out his plans. He'll be at the BYWN's Breaking the Chain show. We'll talk about that in a little while. Hello there, Jake Dvorak is here, who was brought up quite a bit yesterday on the show, and is here. Wanted to say hello with my intro. Yes, hello to Abraham Storm and Jake Dvorak. Who else we got here? Anthony. Yeah. Oh, here we go with this again. Anthony, do them like a quesadilla. That was from when Draven Solis's appearance on Sportswire. A man that you certainly don't have much of anything good to say about. Mr. Leyland, thank you very much for the kind words. We gave you a plug earlier. I appreciate all of your support, and thank you for all you do going out there. And I don't know why he's going to do armored MMA. I mean, he's got a lot of, he's got Razor Rage in him. Maybe he spoke to you about that. That's why he's going into MMA, armored MMA. Who knows? Zilla voted for you because you are amazing, awesome, cool, and great, and the best in FBW, but you didn't want to win the award. But let's see who else we got here. Let me move on here. Hello, Jake. Hello. Thank you to our friends in Carolina Trampoline Wrestling. Yes, I know that you've been here in the streams, and I've offered anything else I can do for you guys. But what I will offer is that if you'd like to follow Carolina Trampoline Wrestling, I know this was a while ago, but if you want to give them a sub, they're on YouTube. Definitely check them out. They got a couple of different things that just came out. I see it here. They got 3,350 subscribers, so definitely check them out. I just put the link in the chat. I'll share the screen so people can see them. They've been here in the chat a bunch of different times. So there you go. There you have it. Hello. Thank you for your support. Who else we got? Some of my plugs for Luke's thing. Want to say hello to my friends out there in the UK, Mr. OK. We are definitely okay. Mr. OK is not happy with Hybrid winning the 24/7 championship in CCW. I want to wish everybody in CCW a happy new year. If we don't do one more Sportswire show with the boys in Cutlery Championship Wrestling, I have a feeling that that's not going to be for a couple weeks, but never say never. Speaking of people that'll be in the BYWN collab show for us here at the Nexus, Mr. Dalton Skull and friends. We love our friends in BCW. Let me give them the nice little follow there because we love Dalton and we love the gang. Franklin Blade was here not too long ago. Really love what he brings to the table. Let me give the BYCW a plug. And boy, did they, I remember, Mr. Aries, when Dalton Skull came on the Sportswire, they were at I don't know, not even 500 subs. Maybe it was just 500. Now they're at almost 1,300. It's, now, and it's funny to see companies when they were at this level and now they're going to that level. And we're very happy to see BCW in the Nexus at the Breaking the Chains collab show. And I'm excited to see what the future is for the guys. And congratulations. And I hope Dalton comes back onto Sportswire and we'll talk with him soon. We'll definitely plug that. Thank you for that. We love Dalton. And, why can't I support the curtain call of FBW Draven Solis? I don't think anybody said you can't. Anthony Aries basically said if he's serious about anything in his health and well-being, he should stay out of his way and potentially not even cross paths with him, and that he shouldn't compete for the U.S. title that's vacated. That's pretty much what it was. And yes, hello there. And is it Mr. OK's birthday? I didn't see it on Facebook, but somebody let me know. Speaking of people that did unleash his Razor Rage, and he had Maven actually unleash a Razor Rage to Justin Parsley and Soldier GP, the Nemesis James Taylor, the
my Razor Rage.
Well, Maven actually did on Wednesday's show. Maven actually came onto Sportswire.
My Razor Rage is something way different than what all these motherfuckers claim to have.
Well, Maven, though, is like Maven. I mean, he's Maven.
Who?
I mean, Maven, the guy from WWE, he came on the Sportswire on Wednesday. I'm sure that we'll let Maven know. I'm sure we'll let him know.
Yeah. Tell him to come to FBW.
I'll
show him where the real Razor Rage is.
So you think maybe James Taylor could connect you to Maven? So would you invite Maven to show up to FBW? He would invite. He wouldn't need Now he wouldn't need a background check, right? Because he's Maven, right? He's a WWE.
No, the background check I'll give him is the beating.
He has, he has successfully eliminated the Undertaker in a Royal Rumble. So I mean,
I'll dog walk the Undertaker too with my Razor Rage.
Well, I mean, now you probably could because he's probably got two
Let's move
fake
on.
knees. He got two fake knees, the Undertaker. Do you think it's two fake knees, and a fake hip, and two fake knees?
Nobody is safe for the Razor Rage. They want to step in my
I would,
way,
what,
they
you
will
should
feel pain and
definitely.
suffering.
I'm gonna tell James when he returns to Sportswire this weekend to let him know to tell Maven to show up to FBW. That'll certainly. I can't wait to see it. I'll be very happy to see you and Maven cross paths, and then you call him sir. Hello to James. Want to say hello to one of my buddies, Big Tex, who's going to be. I think. Are you in action, Big Tex, tomorrow for DBW? DBW's got Merry Mayhem, but we got Silas Walker and Chase Wakefield in action, and I'm excited about that, and I don't know if Big Tex is on the card. I don't remember if Big Tex is on the card, but I know that Silas Walker is here next Saturday night because he goes into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, and I also have some other DBW stars. I think Austin James is back in the middle of the month. So if you hear, DBW is literally like a sub or two away from 3,900. So if you want to hit the sub button for them, actually, that reminds me that Ace Christian is here next Sunday nights. We have a DBW double play combo. So that'll be fun. I love talking to DBW stars. And Big Tex is one of my guys, although Anthony Aries, Big Tex is on the Failures Tour. Taylor Swift is famously on the Eras Tour. Big Tex in championship matches is on the Failures Tour. But go follow DBW on YouTube. I don't know if Big Tex is here. Go follow FBW on YouTube. We're closing in on 1,000 subs. That's an important thing. Zilla says maybe she shouldn't come to FBW. Did you tell her not to show up?
You want to come and step in my way? Nobody is safe.
Well, you know what? She wants to know. Yes, I think I just gave the link. Thank you, Big Tex. Who else we got here in the chat? Oh, Mr. Darkron would like to say hello. Mr. Kron is here, obviously one of my favorites, and because Mr. Kron is closing in on the magic 1,000 subscriber milestone, I have to give him a plug. I think he's like 22 away or something like that. So do me a favor. If you're here in the chat, go follow Darkron. Darkron's got 976 subs. I'd appreciate it. He's also back in ROEW in about a week and a half, 2 weeks. So go out and follow Mr. Kron. Mr. Kron is the man that also hosted Summer Bash this past year. So Mr. Kron I was speaking with, and I'll say some things I won't say on the air because I will be disappointed, Mr. Kron, if those things you told me would come potentially true. So don't disappoint me, but don't disappoint me here by giving Darkron a sub because he's literally like 24 subs away from 1,000. So somebody go sub to him. Let's see. Darkron's feeling great. Can't wait to get back in the ring. Anthony Aries is on Instagram. Give him a follow. Speaking of people, Comatose is in the house. Good old Comatose. Comatose, you want to talk about your Razor Rage. Comatose was trying to survive on this like tree like area with like these dead logs in a lake somewhere. I mean, it was really interesting. I would just have to say, Mr. Arias, that Comatose, he is definitely the GOAT of BYW. And he's here.
GOAT of BYW.
That's what he calls himself, the GOAT of BYW. That's what he said. He's the GOAT of
GOAT my ass.
Well, you know what? He's here Monday night. He's here.
No, maybe I don't think he's talking about he's the GOAT as in the greatest of all time. Maybe that he just looks like a GOAT.
No, he actually, his YouTube channel actually has BYW GOAT. BYW GOAT.
That's one true GOAT backyard wrestling. Yeah, because you look like one.
Well, he doesn't. I mean, he's actually a butcher though in real life. He actually like kills things for a living. I know you got the
that's
Razor
probably
Rage.
why he looks like a fucking goat too.
But your Razor Rage and him being the GOAT. I mean, he kills things for a living. You want to kill your cousin? I mean, that would be an interesting thing.
Hey, I never said I want to kill my cousin.
Well, you figuratively and literally want to.
I said I was going to take his mask.
Well, speaking of things,
let's not frame me for something I didn't say.
Speaking of things,
taking his mask and legacy is not killing him.
Well, that kind of does, but Comatose was literally avoiding death by going through this, which might make him the GOAT because he survived this thing here. But
it looks like light work. Come on, brother.
Well, I don't know. Do you have this in your state the way this looks? Okay, we'll move on. I did find my Comatose shirt. I'll be wearing it Monday. Thank you, Comatose. Who else we got here? Speaking of people, the Tribal Cheese has said you have to make your legacy. He is basically the UK version of James Taylor.
Yeah, I will make that legacy when I take the mask of Felix Zapata.
Well, he seemed to like what you had to say, and he's got a big following on TikTok and YouTube, and he's every time I see him, he has like 200 more subs, and he's at almost at 4,000. I remember when he had like 100 subs. I mean, now he's got like 4,000 almost. He's like 8,000 on TikTok, and he's now a professional social media guy. So like he and James Taylor, but there he is. He's friends with Cody Rhodes. He's friends with John Cena. He's friends with Rhea Ripley, Bobby Lashley, and he doesn't need to do a cameo to get them to show up to meet him. So there you go. But that's his page. Thank you, Mr. Tribal Cheese. Who else we got here in the chat? Zilla says, Razor Rage, make your legacy. Hello, good deal. Who else we got? I don't think that Tribal Cheese is the future of CCW. He's already made it. Speaking of people, Andrew Lovelace, who I think I might be seeing very soon, would like to say eyeballs. Thank you, Mr. Lovelace. Very, very happy New Year. Merry Christmas. I'm glad your mom is feeling better. Carolina Trampoline Wrestling. Who else we got here? Speaking of people, Hybrid is in the house, the 25-8 OK champion. Let me give CCW a quick follow. You know, Mr. Aries, you've attracted a lot of people here today in Sportswire. I didn't even realize people would show up, but your Razor Rage seems to be interesting people today. Maybe people seem to want to see more of you on Sportswire. It seems like it. But while you're here, do me a favor, go hit the sub for CCW. They're closing in on 600 subs. They are the longest tenured wrestling company of any of my companies that have ever come on Sportswire Radio. So, yes, I had a great Christmas. Thank you so much. Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas. And thank you. Yes, we love Hybrid. I am going to pay close attention to that show next Saturday. Thank you very much. Oh, and Big Tex is going to be here on New Year's Eve. Yes, I'm going to be here. New Year's Eve, figure 10 o'clock Eastern time. If you're bored, show up to the chat. Comatose said nobody, huh?
What are we talking about?
I think you. He's going about you, what you said about him. He said nobody, huh? Go about being the GOAT. And, you know, he did live in Georgia before. So he knows how to get to your state. He knows how to get there. He does know how to get there.
It's about to be 2025. I'm not judging anybody's weird fetishes and delusions. If he wants to go around praising and telling everybody that he looks like a goat,
no, he has.
That's on him. That's on him. I'm not judging. My main worries is Felix Sabata's mask, the United States Championship, and every sorry excuse of a backyard wrestler stepping foot through FBW.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll let Comatose answer some of that on Monday. He'll be here Monday night. But speaking of people that you were somebody you were mentoring and you thought was going to be the next big thing, who wrestled at Holiday Havoc, will transition to that for the last 25 or 30 minutes of the show. Jay Gaz, the Shadow Jay Gaz, who seemed like he was so upset with you that he's no longer living in your shadow. And for whatever reason, he kept talking about you during the show. And, you know, it's kind of interesting, Anthony Arias, that call me crazy, but I kind of saw what Jay Gaz was doing at Holiday Havoc in some of his actions, especially toward his victory there over Skull Rider, that he had his own version of the Razor Rage. And what was your reactions to Jay Gaz in that and some of the other things he had to say about you?
Pathetic.
Why?
Pathetic.
Tell me why.
Dude said he wasn't living in my shadow, that I don't define him. But what did he do?
Pretty much to win the match. Had his Razor Rage.
Fucking win a match clean. He couldn't handle the Skull Rider. You guys want to know a little secret? I handpicked Skull Rider to return to GWA and face.
You know what's funny? When Jay came here last year, this was talked about on Sportswire. So this is how I know the whole combo.
Jay Gaz wanted to prove a point, but in facing one of the other pillars of Greek backyard wrestling, what happened? He barely won the match. He had to resort to some dirty bullshit tactics to win the match. That's not impressive. If you cannot beat the man clean, what are you showing me?
He was supposed to be the next big thing. He was supposed to be the man. He was supposed to be the guy. And I remember we spoke about this here on Sportswire.
Yeah, a good wrestler can win a match within the rules and, perimeters of wrestling. He cheated. He used a foreign object. He had to knock down the referee. He used a legal move and a low blow. That doesn't prove that you're better or anything. That means you are a poor excuse of a winner. I can win matches the clean way, the legit way. That's all I got to say about that.
I don't want to spend a lot of time on this.
He
Yeah.
proved nothing.
Well, I want to ask you one follow up on him because I really want to talk about your match coming up here to transition to the end of the show here. But I can't believe I'm asking this because I like Jay. I really do like Jay. I think that there is a lot of potential in him. I think he's got the look. I think that he has the ability. I definitely want to see more of GWA in the future, and I think eventually he'll have a bright future. But looking at some of these tactics here, and just looking at some of the things he said about you, when you go back and you think about what you tried to do for Jay Gaz's career, do you have any regrets
I
about?
regret I regret wasting my time on him. Just like I regret wasting my
Because
time on LP's
conversely,
TV.
Ace Reed was here on Sportswire. I know. I don't know what you think about Ace Reed, but Ace Reed, he
You know
praised
what I
you.
regret the most about Jay Gaz?
What?
I handpicked him to be the Messiah, and then
Maybe
what
you should have
happened?
had Ace Reed as it because Ace Reed praised you. He said, Anthony Aries, I want to thank him. He thanked you live last week on Sportswire. Said, I want to thank Anthony Aries. He helped me out. We talked about the whole thing with BWDU. We talked about different things, and he thanked you. But Jay Gaz, you put more time into Jay Gaz than Ace Reed.
And what I think that comes down to is the first Messiah that I picked, which we'll name unredacted. We're not going to name him because he's a pedophile supporter. So
Yeah.
I really wanted to find someone and work with someone who can take on the legacy. And I thought that would be Jay Gaz. But I wasted my time. I wasted my time because after I picked him to be the Messiah of the Yard, he let his own home crumble. And now he wants to act like he's better than me, that he doesn't live in my shadow when he can't even hold down and his own home. His own home crumbled. I have a platform, FBW, thriving, wonderful kingdom. Jay Gaz was a wasted project. And he may think that he's thriving out of my shadow and everything, but soon enough, he'll fade away and become obsolete.
I wasn't going to say this, but I'm going to say it. I want to take this off the screen for a minute. We're going to get to your match in a minute to close the show out. But, you think about it, right? What you put the effort wise into Jay Gaz. But Ace Reed, he's a Nexus guy. He's been through and through Nexus. He has been always told me, I believe in the Nexus, Tom. I've always been there. I really believe in it. Anthony Arias has always been there for me. He's been a friend. But you put so much time into Jay Gaz, the community never really respected Jay Gaz. Ace Reed, on the other hand, Ace Reed comes on the Sportswire. Guys go, Ace, I like Ace. Ace is always there. Ace, look at where Ace is going. He's training in a pro wrestling ring now. Look at what Ace is about to do. He's about to wrestle a guy, Ace Shack in Australia, that's
The
trained. And yet,
the
but
Messiah.
Jay Gaz, you put all that effort into him. Could you imagine if you would have went
You
behind
see,
and backed Ace Reed? The Nexus, you feel so much better about the Nexus, don't you
see,
think?
the Messiah of the Yard was a special mission of keeping the sacred roots of backyard wrestling sacred. I needed somebody who was true to the roots of backyard wrestling itself, not someone who was dabbling in pro bookings, dabbling in semi indie stuff, someone who was true to the roots of backyard wrestling, not some halfway into pro wrestling dude wrestling in a real wrestling ring. I needed somebody true to the roots of backyard wrestling. That was what made the Messiah so special. Keeping the roots of this
He
pure.
had the look. The look was there. He had the look. He was marketable.
And
I
you want
think
to know what? And I realized that, quite honestly, the reason why all of these past messiahs failed is, quite honestly, is because none of these people are on my level and have the level of care that I have for backyard wrestling.
which is kind of why you feel the way you feel. And we have a backyard wrestling Nexus show coming up, Breaking the Chains, and we've been speaking quite a bit about it over the past week on Sportswire Radio. And what's your future and your thoughts on that. I mean, a
I I
thing that
I will announce that I will be on Breaking the Chains, not to compete,
that's gonna be
but I will have a time slot on Breaking the Chains for a very important, not wanna miss promo segment. I will be
mm.
speaking and talking about some stuff that you backyard wrestling fans out there will not want to miss at Breaking the Chains.
Well, I'm definitely not going to want to miss that, and we're very excited about that. Well, Mr. Arias will have his opinions there, I'm sure, but please go over and support the Backyard Wrestling Nexus on Instagram, YouTube. I do have my Nexus shirt on right now as we speak, and a couple of different things. I'd like to congratulate CJ Black, the good guy, from joining here into the Nexus Hall of Fame. He'll join Jack Delta. The irony of that, two ROEW fellas, and Mr. Delta and Mr. Black, who famously this year had a match that's still talked about. It will be talked about in BYW history for a long time, and he joins the Backyard Wrestling Nexus Hall of Fame. Congratulations to the good guy, a man that is no stranger to Sportswire Radio, and congratulations to CJ Black there. We've got our friends in LBYW. Of course, LBYW are in our Hall of Fame, and you're going to see White Viper and Ragnarok. That's going to be a match. A lot of history there. And I mean, how about congratulations to Johnny Storm? I mean, CVW, I know CVW very well. That's a huge accomplishment. Congratulations to him. And how about we mention our friends BYCW, Blackheart, and Austin Edwards. Very excited to see our friends in BYCW back. We've had a great relationship with them on Sportswire. They've always done right by us. And we've got here another match coming up here at the BYCW Breaking the Chain show. We got Echo and Oliver Blade. Very excited about that as well. And we spoke about it on Tuesday's show, Abraham Storm and Mars. We talked about that for the Uncle Larry tribute show, and very excited to see Abraham in the Nexus. Abraham is such a good kid. He's one of the favorites here on Sportswire Radio, and I'm very excited about this one here. Mr. Matsuda, my company, my home company, Wrestling Zero. I'm the commissioner at Thunder. And Jay Ryan, Jay Ryan is a very, very interesting individual here. We spoke about this on Sportswire. I spoke about it on Wrestling Zero TV. It's a Shiga survival match. Mr. Matsuda is going to have this match. It's one of his very last, and it's going to be one of his last matches you'll get to see on the Backyard Wrestling Nexus YouTube page. You must go out there and check all of it. I am very excited. We have more Wrestling Zero coverage coming up as always, so check out the Wrestling's Backyard Wrestling Nexus on YouTube and Instagram. But for the remainder of the show, and I want to talk about it because I've saved it for last. Anthony Aries, your match, your last man standing match at Holiday Havoc against Big B. Boy, I couldn't count how many cookie cutters were used in that match. It was certainly a war. It was havoc. It lived up to it. And I'm going to put it up on the screen here in a minute. And I guess I'm going to have to ask, where do we go from here with you, especially after what we saw? And I'm going to put it up on the screen now, and we'll get your thoughts on it.
I thought that Big B was the kryptonite to my career and to my Razor Rage this year. So I wanted to end off the year trying to get one last jab at Big B. And I failed. I failed, and I was not the man to be the last one standing. And I give it to B. He is one tough competitor. He has a bright future ahead of him if he, has the right mindset. And he was the better man, quite frankly. He was the better man at Holiday Havoc, and he beat me. And then that's why I shook his hand, because as much anger and rage I have towards wrestlers and community members, he beat me fair and square, and I gave him my all. I put him in the razor clutch, as we're seeing right now. I used a weed whacker on him. I did all of these things, and after this war and going with Big B one last time here at Holiday Havoc, I just, quite honestly, I have to get back on track on getting the United States Championship that I was going to try to put so much effort and work into. And, Felix Sabata is now getting into the mix, and all I want from him is to take his mask. So I have all of these issues, and quite honestly, I think that at this point right now, after Holiday Havoc, I think that Big B is not on my list of problems that I have to deal with. And, even in defeat, I think I earned his respect. I mean, we have went to war so far 3 times, and I've taken him to his limits like no other man. I mean, before Holiday Havoc, have we seen Big B get taken to where he was taken at Holiday Havoc?
No,
No,
no, no.
exactly. Um, I think that I'm going to recover and I'm gonna really put my focus on the United States Championship and taking the mask of Felix Sabata.
So you feel like even in defeat that you were victorious and you've got a lot here that you can use as a springboard not only to the US title but in 2025 with everything that you've said here today.
Yes, because nobody has taken Big B to his limits like I did. And I don't think Big B is going to want to step in the ring with me anytime soon after feeling what my Razor Rage can do to him. So even though I lost, I got Big B out of my way. And with the impressive showing that I had, I think that I quite honestly deserve a shot at the vacated United States Championship.
Well, I want to ask you about that. I mean, what do you think there? Obviously, the championship was held by somebody, and it's now vacated for obviously reasons. We'll certainly, I'm going to leave that to obviously management and stuff. But what do you think Cody Max does here with the U.S. title? I mean, what do you think
What I
as a
think
competitor here?
that he
Yeah,
should do is
yeah.
quite honestly just gift it to me. Like I said earlier, gift it to
Hmm.
me. Nobody deserves that title than me, quite honestly. Because I was starting to do something great with it before Damian Prime stole it from me. But obviously, I know Cody Max is a sheep of management and a sheep to the law. So I know he's not going to gift it to me. So whoever I have to go through coming in the new year, I will go through. There's nothing more that I want right now than that United States Championship. I respect my brother, Chris Dynamite. He has his issue with the undisputed belt. He never lost. And I think that the United States Championship, it being a new piece of gold, having, you know, more expectations and more eyes on that championship because it's a
Well, it's
new
the
title.
United States. It's the United States Championship. We saw that play
And
out
it's
here.
something new. It's something that hasn't been around in FBW for very long. So people have eyes on that. So I
Yeah,
think
and I've
that
seen it this year on the platform when with the Wilster, what he did in LBYW with it. Sean Jovi was America's resident rock star at the IMF US title. So I get the value in the US title, but I don't feel Cody Max is just going to gift wrap you the title. So what
and I know
happens
he's
then?
not. I know he's not, but
Okay.
I will damn sure make sure that I am in that match to crown the first United States champion of 2025. I will
Do
do
you
all that it takes. There's no way you can deny Anthony Aries a shot at
Well,
the
you're
United
the
States
you can whether you like it or not, you were the wrestler of the year. So basically, as the wrestler of the year, that does give you as much a right as anybody else to get a crack at that title. So based off just being the FBW wrestler of the year, you should have a shot at the US title. I don't know what Cody Max is going to do exactly with that. We're going to find
I
out
just
on
hope
FB.
I just hope that he does the right thing. And Cody Max, I'm telling you, do the right thing.
Do you want to say anything directly to him based on what his decision will be?
Do the right thing. Do the right thing. You better pray to God that you do the right thing. Because Cody Max used to be a wrestler.
Yep.
So I know he can get in that ring one more time.
But Cody Max isn't going to go out and compete for this. I don't think that that's the right move either. I think Cody Max is going to have a decision. I mean, obviously you
No,
have.
if he doesn't want to gift me what is right, or at least the shot to compete for that belt, I will find him. I will drag his sorry ass in the ring, and I will pick him apart with the Razor Rage because nobody is safe.
Well, you spoke about something real quick, and it was mentioned during commentary here that Big B has got a victory here, and maybe that gets him on track, back on track, and maybe he'll want to get revenge on Sam Reeves. But where do you think necessarily Big B goes then? Does he go for Reeves? I mean, Dynamite wants him clearly. You just
Not
wrestled
my
Big B,
problem.
so
Quite honestly, not my problem. As long as he stays out of my way, he can do whatever he needs to do. But I have my mission for the United States Championship for Felix Sabata's mask. As long as anyone stays out of my way for those two missions right now,
Mhm.
I can care less what they do.
So I'm going to ask you something. It's a loaded question, and you tell me what your thoughts on as we're getting ready to close the show here in a minute. But what's more important to you right now, Felix Sabata and that mask, or the vacated United States Championship? What's more important to you?
Quite honestly, I do not know because the history with the mask of Felix Sabata goes deep. It goes way back to days before I was even wrestling. But that United States Championship is something so valued to me that I think will help put me in that spotlight of appreciation that I deserve. I do not know exactly what is more important, but all I know is those are two missions that I'm going to embark on come 2025. And
And
whichever comes first will be more important. If
and
I get the
obvious
United States Championship shot first, I'm going to give that my all. But Felix better think that I will not forget. And if Felix Sabata comes first, I will tear his whole world and rip that mask off his head. So
well, I'll
whatever
tell you
comes
what.
first.
We're going to certainly find out. And I did want to break it because Sam Reeves said he likes what he's hearing today. I mean, has hell froze over? I don't know, but it seems like Sam Reeves and Anthony Arias are okay with each other. Who would have guessed that? I mean, you know what? Maybe
We'll talk.
2025 is going to
We'll
be interesting.
talk. But
Well,
we'll talk in private because it's none of this damn community's business.
I mean, we're going to certainly find out. I mean, do you have any last words you want to say to people here before 2025? Anything else that you want to discuss and such, and then everything else?
2025 will be my year and will be the year that I watch this whole damn world burn.
Well, there was once upon a time an insurrection, but Anthony Arias, if he has his way, will burn the world to the ground. And I won't spoil a movie I recently saw, but that was the premise of it. We'll leave that at that. It's a top movie out there. You can check it out. And Anthony Arias is obviously going to figure out what he is going to do. He is the 2024 FBW Wrestler of the Year. I would like to say hello to our friends in RBW, and we want to thank them. Obviously, we want to congratulate CJ Black, the good guy, for going into the Backyard Wrestling Nexus Hall of Fame. And you'll get to see that at the Breaking the Chain show. And of course, James Taylor is always here on Sportswire. He's the ROEW owner. So, as one famous failed Messiah used to say without mentioning his names, he hated everything that was myself, ROEW, and IMF. And yeah, and we're going to leave that at that. You can tie two and two on who that person is. But obviously, thank you to our friends here in ROEW. Let me ask you, though, one more question before closing thoughts. Goals of 25 are?
Felix Sabata's mask and the United States Championship. Simple.
Well, you know what? I certainly think that those are going to be goals that we're going to be watching. Obviously, we're
And
also
and,
watching.
and right now, but before we wrap this up and I get out of here, when I take the mask of Felix Sabata, I want to have a Sportswire celebration for that.
We'll find out. I mean, you have to get it first. Yeah, he has to debut. He hasn't even debuted yet in FBW. He
He'll be
hasn't
around
even
soon.
debuted.
He'll be
He'll be
around
soon.
soon, and I won't be far behind.
You got a lot on your plate this year. You got Draven Solis, who you certainly are no friend of. You got Felix Sabata, who you've basically talked about your personal history there, and it's deep, as deep as anybody's history I've ever heard of. You've got the vacated U.S. title, which you're obviously understandably upset about. You got this whole situation here in FBW with Cody Max. You got Jay Gaz, by the way, who you said plenty about. And you most certainly, I am sure, would like a do-over on. So Anthony Arias, you've certainly got quite a razor rage, and I think this razor rage is not going to let up anytime soon. And you're also going to be, oh, by the way, appearing and saying a few words at the Breaking the Chain show here for the Nexus. So there's a lot you have on your plate. I mean, we're going to see you very soon, and we're going to see you at the collab show. You're going to say a few words there. We have FBW shows coming up here in the next few weeks. We've also got, I am sure, a lot that's going to happen with Felix Zabata and Draven Solis and Sam Reeves and just Big B and Chris Diamond. I didn't even mention Ryan Blade and just a lot of different things in store. That's why you have to follow FBW. I'm going to put the link up here one more time before we sign off. This is the FBW YouTube channel. Go out there, give them a sub. They are 46 subscribers away from 1,000. Please go out there and support them. We would really appreciate that. Okay, I know you have had enough of your razor rage for the world, so I want to pass the baton to you, give you some closing thoughts. Anything else you want to plug or share here one more time in the year 2024?
2024 was an all right year for me. I tasted U.S. gold. I made Sam Reeves say the words "I quit." I took many people to their limits and made them feel pain. But 2025 will be my year that I really put the mark on people and make people suffer with this razor rage. The United States Championship will be resurrected by me, will be treated correctly by me. And Felix Zabata, the man who stole my legacy from me, my destiny, I'm going to rip that mask and make that whole situation into mine. That mask is going to be mine. And then I'm going to shove him away from FBW for good. Because I'm tired of the bullshit. 2025, I will simply watch the world burn.
Well, I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, it remains to be seen on what happens to the world in 2025. But what I did learn tonight or this afternoon, depending on where you are, because I do have people in the UK who watched me, is that Anthony Arias had a lot to say. But I'm going to remember one thing. And sure, Jay Gaz was important. Sure, Draven Solis was important. The United States Championship is equally as important in some ways or another. The Backyard Wrestling Nexus's collab show, Breaking the Chains, where Anthony Arias will say a few things, is also important. But the most important thing I learned tonight is Anthony Arias has got his razor rage sight set on Felix Zabata more than anyone else, his own cousin, and the family lineage, or maybe the lack of family lineage, and the family history, and all of that is going to come. It's going to rear its ugly head one day in FBW. One day. And that's what I'm going to remember in 2025. That Anthony Arias razor rage is at one person going to be felt the most for. And that is Felix Zabata. That's right. Felix Zabata. Remember that name. He might be the Golden Gladiator, but if Anthony Arias has his way, he won't have a mask and he literally won't be anything. And he will figuratively, in a way, be killed because of that. But we'll find out. We'll certainly talk about all of that here and some. Please support FBW. Please follow Anthony Arias on Instagram. Check out the Nexus's socials. And we will have more coverage coming up with the Nexus and everything else in between very soon because Yoshimatsu Matsuda is coming on here to talk about his match with Jay Ryan. And he's got a lot to say. Matsuda always has something to say. And we'll talk about that here and some. And Mr. Arias, Happy New Year. I wish you the very best. And congratulations, I suppose, on winning Wrestler of the Year in FBW. And we'll see what you do, and especially when it comes to that United States Championship. And, oh, by the way, your cousin, Felix Zabata. Happy New Year, sir. All right.
See you next year.
We'll see you next year. Yep. See you next year. And the best is yet to come. That is Anthony Arias, the 2024 FBW Wrestler of the Year. He definitely is no longer shooting with the stain. He is no longer the man that's just the founder of the Backyard Wrestling Nexus. He has his sights set on a whole slew of people, and especially Felix Zabata, the Golden Gladiator. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice figuratively and literally, where all wrestling matters. If you're on Sportswire Radio, I'll be back here at 10 o'clock Eastern time. I'll talk about NFL Week 17, whoever was awake and alive. But I'll be here tomorrow with the GBYW and world champion, the GTS Legacy YouTube champion, the one and only legendary Rad Dad Radley Belmont, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Definitely tune into that. But until then, BW socials, follow Aries' socials, follow the Nexus' socials, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. On the number one global radio station that is Sportswire Radio, where all wrestling matters. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you later.